Hello, this is Wireless Discovery, and I'm Josh River. Today we'll be taking a look at the Skullcandy Crusher Wireless headphones. These headphones are available in two colors, a white with a brown leatherette material and a solid black. I have the solid black unit for testing. I find these to be very comfortable. They expand with a little metal band on the sides here, just to let them reach down over your ears. They have a nice leatherette pad across the top that gives them a little character. They're a matte plastic finish on the ear cups and the hinges here. I think they look very nice. There's this cable on the inside that goes between the headband and the ear cups, and I think it adds a little style, just a little character. The ear pads are also a leatherette material with a padding that's memory foam, so they're very comfortable to wear. Inside the ear cups, they use a mesh material that helps wick moisture away from your ears, so when your head gets hot, the earpieces don't get sweaty. One thing that I really like about these is that they fit really well around your neck. They're very comfortable to wear in this fashion. You can look around, they don't impede your visibility, which I find to be very nice when I do have to take them off to have a conversation or something. Another point is that these are full over-ear headphones. They sit around your ear instead of on it, which makes them very, very comfortable. They also collapse to fold up for travel, which is very nice. They take up very little space this way. They're easy to throw in a bag and just not even notice they're there. Though they are plastic, they are pretty durable. I haven't had any problems with how springy they are or stretching them. If you do wear headphones DJ style, that is to say with one ear exposed, that is actually pretty comfortable, so that's a big plus for some people. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly go over the controls on the headset, and up at the top we have this blue light that indicates the unit is on. Below that we have the plus symbol for volume up and track up. Below that we have the circle symbol, which is responsible for syncing, play, pause, activating Siri, and a whole bunch of other features. Below that, it's a little hard to see, there's a minus symbol, that's for track down and volume down. And then on the left ear cup, we have the haptic feedback slider for the bass controls. That goes all the way to the bottom, and that turns it off entirely. That disables the subwoofers, and it slides smoothly up all the way to the top where the power is pretty much insane. One thing to note is that the headphones have a jack on the bottom for a regular 3.5mm audio cable, as well as a USB connector for power. Unfortunately, I did not notice until very late in the game that this is recessed quite a bit, actually, just maybe 2mm inside. And you may not think that's much, but surprisingly, it causes a problem because I have about 5 different pair of headphone cables that I use on a common basis, and not a single one of them would fit into these headphones and actually make a full connection. Now, the cable that is provided by Skullcandy is this little guy right here. It is thin and rectangular and does fit inside the plug. Unfortunately, for some reason, the end of the cable that plugs into the headphones is red and light blue. That's really ugly in my opinion. I think that looks horrible, especially with this all-black aesthetic. Why they chose to make this end red and blue, I do not know, but it's obvious it's the end you're supposed to use because it's very close to the microphone, so when these headphones are on, the microphone for answering calls, and also the buttons for play and pause are close to your head. Again, I just think it was a terrible design decision, but if that's the worst you got, then your problems are small. So, let's talk about battery life. Skullcandy advertises 40 hours of battery life on a single charge for these headphones. By today's standards, most people will rate a pair of headphones as having a good battery life when they have around 25 hours of life. So, with 40 on the books, that's pretty much knocking it out of the park. I do have headphones that have a longer last than 40 hours, but they're few and far between. Obviously, I had to test the 40-hour battery life, so I did fully charge the headphones when I received them, and I let them play for a solid 40 hours. They actually played for 40 hours and 25 minutes before the battery died. And that's pretty much what Skullcandy advertised. One thing to note is that when actually it reaches the last 50 minutes of playback, it will play an audible signal that indicates that the battery is close to dead. It will do that when you reach the 50-minute mark, so you only have 50 minutes of battery life left, then it's going to chime. It will chime once every 5 minutes until the battery dies. Now, considering that's your last 50 minutes, that means you're going to get 10 chimes in that time. Some people will say that's annoying. In my opinion, 10 minor interruptions to my music playback just to make sure that I know that I'm about to lose my headphones entirely is perfectly reasonable, especially after I've already been listening to them for 39 hours. I can't really complain about 50 minutes of slightly bothered time. One other thing that is quite interesting about these headphones is that Skullcandy claims that they have a quick charge system. The quick charge supposedly will take a pair of completely dead Crusher Wireless headphones, and if you hook them up to USB, you can charge them for 10 minutes and get 3 hours of playback. That, in my opinion, is ridiculous. I don't see how you could possibly get 3 hours of consistent playback off of a 10-minute charge, but I did have to try it. And since I had just tested the battery life all the way from 40 hours down to nothing, they were already dead, so it was a perfect time to test it out. So I did hook them back up. I set a timer. I let them charge for 10 minutes over USB, and as soon as that timer was done, I unplugged them, threw them back on my head, hooked them back up to Bluetooth, and let the music play. Honestly, I expected to hear the chime of low battery almost immediately, but I did not. In fact, I did not hear it for 4 hours and 10 minutes. That is amazing. 4 hours, that's a lot. What more can you really ask for? That just blows me away. I don't have anything more I can say about it. So lastly, I'd like to talk about the audio quality, which is obviously important. So the Skullcandy Crusher Wireless are a little bass heavy, but they have a pretty clean, comfortable sound. They're not studio monitors, they're not flat, they have a little bias towards the bass. The mids are clean and clear, and the trebles are high, as they should be. But they do sound really nice, in my opinion, especially for their price point. I think they sound fantastic. But what makes the Crusher Wireless special is that they have this haptic bass feature. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, haptic bass is the bass that you feel, not hear. So the low-end rumble, some people refer to as sub-bass. A lot of headphones these days feature 50mm drivers so that they can push a full range of audio, including a little bit of that sub-bass signal as well. The Crusher Wireless actually use a pair of 40mm drivers to push the audio signal that you hear from the low bass up to the high end. And those 40mm speakers do a very good job. Now, the slider on the back of the headphones allows you to adjust the power of the haptic bass feedback. At its lowest setting, there is no haptic response. You get just plain audio from the 40mm drivers, and they sound like a good pair of headphones. But the moment you start to slide that up, you get a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more of that low end bass. So I started listening to a song with the haptic bass turned all the way off, and I slowly increased it over time, and I found that approximately 1/3 of the way up was where I was really comfortable with the sound quality that I was getting. The audio was fantastic, and the bass was rumbling in a way that I felt was complementary to the music. Unfortunately, when I started sliding that slider up a little bit higher, up to about halfway, it got really bass heavy. At halfway, I would liken these to a pair of Beats headphones, which I'm not a big fan of. I do like bass. I like bass headphones in general, but I don't like really bass heavy headphones that distort the rest of your audio. These allow you the ability to adjust that bass to your liking. So you can turn it all the way down, or you can turn it up to 1/3 like I do and get a nice thump, but nothing drastic. Or if you really like some powerful bass and you really want that rumble, you push them up halfway and you'll get great bass response. Now, what I found to be interesting is that that's halfway. That slider goes up again, all the way up to full. And in my opinion, it's ridiculous. The amount of bass that these headphones produce at full haptic feedback is insane. It's intolerable, in my opinion. It's so loud. At mid volume or a low volume, you can listen to these headphones around other people, but I honestly wouldn't suggest listening to them in a library or a quiet environment. They do leak a little bit of sound. They are closed back, but that's just not enough to contain the massive amount of bass that comes out of these things when the haptic bass is turned up. What I'd like to do real quick is I'm gonna turn on a track. I'm going to put these headphones on with the volume turned all the way up and the haptic bass turned up, and just let you hear what other people around you will hear if you are listening at full volume. So I'm going to do that right now. For this test, the microphone is approximately 2 feet away from my face, and I'm not quite sure how loud it's going to come out, but we'll see. So I have the headphones again at full volume with the haptic bass turned all the way up. I do not appreciate the sound, but I'm going to listen to it for you. So let's hear what someone else is going to perceive around you. I'm going to hit play now. Starts off a little quiet, not for long. What a lovely day. Wow, that actually hurt. That was painful. What we do for science. So I'm not quite sure how loud that was for you, but that's what you can experience around someone wearing these headphones if they have them at full volume. I would liken it to a Escalade driving past your house with the bass turned up so high that the trunk is rattling more than the sound coming from the speakers, so you can't even tell what song is playing. You just hear that rattling trunk just vibrating and vibrating and vibrating. With the haptic feedback turned all the way up, I can't tell you if the audio is distorted because there's so much bass I can't even hear the regular audio. In my opinion, it's just obnoxious. If I had to guess, Skullcandy decided that they wanted to make sure that no one else on the market could claim that they had more bass coming out of their headphones. And so they turned that slider all the way to the top. Personally, I would have preferred if the slider moved just as far as it does now, but actually only adjusted to half of the volume that it does now. That would give you more granular control over the amount of haptic feedback you get without providing such an enormous amount of bass that it's almost intolerable. But again, that's the beauty of these headphones. They provide you the freedom to choose how much bass you want. That's something no other headphones I'm aware of offer. It's like having an equalizer built into your headphones. It's something you won't find anywhere else. So that's the Skullcandy Crusher Wireless. In my opinion, these are a very nice pair of headphones. For their price point, $139, I think they're a steal. They sound fantastic. They provide an ample amount of bass. They become very portable when necessary, and they look really good in my opinion. So there's really no drawback other than the fact that you can make more bass than you might really want. I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, please press this like button down here at the bottom and subscribe if you're interested to see more of my reviews. Again, my name is Josh Rupert. This has been Wireless Discovery.